Y'all know Pokémon, right? It's only one of the most popular multimedia franchises out there, and one of the main mechanics in the games are elemental types. So let's take a look at them through the lens of speculative biology. Hello there, welcome to the Speculative Wildlife Research Center. Professor Fern here. This world is inhabited by creatures called Pokémon, and we classify them according to their basic elemental types. I've been studying these Pokémon types, and after years of arduous research, I believe I've managed to work something out. In this video, we will be taking a look at 6 out of the 18 Pokémon types, just to keep this video at a reasonable scope, imagining the possible mechanics behind them, ecological implications, and how the moves associated with these types work. So please consider liking and subscribing to make this video super effective against the algorithm. And now, without further ado, let's begin with the Pokémon type that started the entire thing. Grass. Grass-type Pokémon are known for wielding the power of plant life, and in many cases, fungi. And while many grass-type Pokémon are simply moving plants, there are some that are quite distinctly animalian in nature. Is animalian a word? Anyhow, this is probably not simply a result of animals evolving structures that resemble plants, since they are capable of producing seeds, spores, or even photosynthesizing. No, this is more likely the result of a symbiotic relationship between the animal and the plant. The animal could potentially provide the plant with a certain degree of mobility and perhaps nutrition, while the plant provides the animal with, at the very least, a green coloration that provides great camouflage and an extra source of energy through photosynthesis. They can also benefit from metabolites produced by the plant. Phenolic compounds, for example, are known to have healing, anti-inflammatory, and antimicrobial properties. This is, of course, nothing compared to the presence of leaves, thorns, and even vines growing from the animal's body, which can be freely moved and even launched thanks to them being connected to the animal's muscle and nervous tissues. Furthermore, the animal part of this symbiosis can signal the plant to allow the release of spores laced with neurodepressive chemicals, which can sedate or paralyze other creatures. All of these weapons and camouflage allow grass-type Pokémon to either protect themselves from predators or hunt their prey, depending on their specific needs. Although the effectiveness of certain mechanisms, such as spores, is diluted when facing other grass types, since the metabolites produced by the symbiotic plant reduces their effectiveness. This symbiosis is observed on a wide array of clades and ecological niches, although it is much more prevalent in non-predatory animals, possibly due to their lifestyle being more compatible with having plants grow on their backs compared with the needs of active carnivores that need to hunt. In fact, it has been shown that herbivore grass types can use the metabolites produced by their symbiotic plants to make other plant life grow, providing them with a constant source of food. Well, that was a whole thing. Let's go with a simpler one now. Flying type. These fellas, well, they fly. You know that thing birds do? Yeah, you pretty much got it. But added here is a running theme that shows up across most types. Many Pokémon moves are simply regular attacks unrelated to a type, but performed while being that type. Like, so many moves amount to tackling the opponent that it's not even funny. Rock type tackling, flying type tackling, dark type tackling. So yeah, this type is mostly about flying, doing things while flying, and in many cases striking the enemy with beaks or wings. But the weirder part is this: wind and air based attacks. I propose these are a result of modified air sacs and nostrils that allow flying types to pressurize the air they breathe and use it offensively, with non-avian clades using different organs like flotation sacs and different gases. This pressurized gas could help them stun smaller prey, like bugs, and perhaps even competitors. Its effect decreasing the greater the size and mass of the target compared to that of the user. Now let's go on to a type flying Pokémon notoriously have issues with. Rock type. These Pokémon are, partially or entirely, made of rock, which could be reflected by a hard, rock-like body armor. This armor, however, could also incorporate mineral components from their surroundings, obtained by eating soil and clay, a behavior many animals already have. This would give their armor a composition more similar to that of rock, and the presence of localized mineral deposits could allow for an even greater range of possibilities. For instance, they could form harder spots that give them greater protection, or brittle spikes that break off upon being touched, heavily damaging attackers. And some of these mineral deposits could look less like rock and more like crystalline formations or gemstones, reflecting light in a way that can attract potential partners or even be used to daze predators. As can be imagined, most rock types are herbivores or filter feeders, with the few carnivores being scavengers or feeding on even slower prey. And now we have a type of Pokémon that is, in principle, very similar to rock type, steel type. These Pokémon similarly incorporate external particles into their bodies, metallic particles in this case. However, while this will often make up body armor, they also tend to be given a much more offensive purpose, regularly making up the structure of claws, fangs, and quills. These metallic particles are often obtained from their diet, be it from geophagy, like with rock types, or from other animals, especially insects and other invertebrates, which often have metal particles in their bodies that aid in many of their biological processes. This reflects the much more predatory nature of steel types, being in fact one of the few types capable of preying on rock types. These metal particles also allow them to produce loud noises through beating or stridulation, and the release of metallic particles by these same actions can also be highly irritating to other creatures. Not to mention, the reflection of light from their bodies can be used to disorient prey or competitors. And now, here's another easy one. Dark type. While the name might invoke the power of shadows and fear, that is the realm of another type we will see at a later date. Instead, Dark type Pokémon are characterized by moves dealing with torment, aggressiveness, tricks, stealing, intimidation, plotting, or taking advantage of their situation. All of this paints them as highly opportunistic or aggressive predators. Now, in nature, most predators are usually aggressive and opportunistic. It's not like hunting is a sporting event. What we are referring to is predators that will steal prey from other animals through intimidation, or predators that will change prey or strategy whenever a chance presents itself. Opportunistic predator is, in fact, the official term for that type of behavior. The fact that such predators require fast thinking and a good level of intelligence also indicates why they often have an advantage against psychic type Pokémon. And last but not least, here's the type of possibly the single most famous and popular Pokémon ever, Electric type. And this one is easy enough to work out since there already are electric type animals in our world. Electric eels. And as another example, we also saw Pikachu on the channel some time back. So to summarize, these animals use their type through either electricity producing organs or by producing and storing huge amounts of static electricity in their fur or other external layer of their body. This is extremely useful both as an offensive weapon when hunting or as a defensive mechanism to zap predators on contact, as it will immediately kill or paralyze the other creature, or at the very least produce enough pain to convince it to go do something else instead. To help themselves resist this electrical current, many electric types have a layer of fat around their bodies, which absorbs the electricity produced and prevents it from reaching their vital organs. While they can be harmed by the electricity, they will avoid the worst effects. And of course, since they use their own bodies to produce this electricity, they may, so to speak, run out of juice for a while and need to recover. That said, the amount of energy needed to arc through the air would be absurdly high. Far too much for an animal to produce or resist. So land and airborne electric type moves would have a lot more in common with electrifying the animal itself and then ramming into another than with sending lightning flying out of their bodies. This electricity, however, would be much easier to direct through water or other conductive mediums. And that's it for Speculative Biology look into some Pokémon types. You know, despite the overwhelming lack of Pokémon videos I've made, I'm a big fan of the franchise. And while trying to reimagine every single Pokémon in the speculative style would be quite the task, and trust me, I've tried, I felt having a look at the way some of the game's mechanics work, like elemental types, would be a fun way to go into it. I originally planned to make this video with all Pokémon types, but that got too long for comfort, so this worked a lot better in the long run. I also felt making a drawing of a representative for each would be a fun thing to do as well, and I picked these ones based on a series of things, a combination of how likely I'd be of making full episodes of them in the future, and just how fun they would be to reimagine. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you'd like to see new videos exploring the other Pokémon types, evolution methods, or other fun stuff, please tell me in the comments. A lot of people have already asked to see more Pokémon stuff, so here's a big thank you to all of them. And also, thank you to our researchers and research associates who support us through Patreon and YouTube memberships, and whose awesome ideas really help bring this one together. Remember, you too can join in if you want to support our channel, and you get some nice bonuses too, like seeing all of our creatures and videos ahead of time and helping mold them into shape. Or you can also like and subscribe to help this channel. Thank you all for watching, and see you next time on the Speculative Wildlife Research Center.